Since its release in 2017, Mario Odyssey has been a hot topic in the speedrunning community. Speedrun.com was essentially spammed with thousands of runs, and more ridiculous tricks and skips were being discovered every day. Speedrunners mastered moving Mario in absurd ways, abusing his mechanics, and beat the crap out of this game until March 2019, when Nitro achieved the sub-hour run that was considered impossible for so long.
Holy shit, Nico Pod.
But even after this, speedrunners wanted more. The first 58 was achieved by Tyrone in October 2019. Then, Mitch achieved 57 in July 2020. Tyrone then went on to steal the record back later that year, and as of July 2024, he holds the record with a time of 56:06. But to get the time down this low, speedrunners have learned some insane techniques that might honestly be too much. When I asked my friend and fellow YouTuber, CCanCool, who has a time of around an hour and a half in the any percent run, what he thought the hardest skip or strategy was in that run, he responded with, "Oh, it's definitely that one skip and cascade involving that singular pixel you can stand on the cliff to get up." If you're not sure what he's referring to, he's talking about a skip known as DSS, or Dino Skip Skip, which we'll talk about more later on. But thank you, CCanZ. In Super Mario Odyssey, the game ends when you capture this wire. Most of the time, it takes people between 6 and 12 hours to get to this point during their first playthrough. This, however, is their first playthrough, and they spend most of their time walking around and figuring out new movement options. And I'm sure there was some kid out there who thought they were a god when they figured out how to long jump. But, all jokes aside, you probably did pull off a few stunts that made you pretty proud. Maybe you figured out how to throw and dive into Cappy to cross farther gaps. Maybe you figured out that in two-player mode you have extra movement options, or that by shaking your controller you can roll faster. You probably figured out how to do things like triple jump, ground pound jump, and side flip. And you probably thought that Mario was pretty athletic. You see, normal people can spin, jump, and then ground pound. Pretty easy, right? Now try doing these three things a single frame apart from each other. This is a speedrunning strat known as the bump. But bump does the intensity of this strategy no justice. Do you have any idea how long a frame is in a 60 FPS game? Roughly 17 milliseconds. That's less than 1/10 of a second. This means that in the time it takes you to blink, a speedrunner could have bumped 10 times. If you blink during a speedrun, they could have bumped 10 times. Okay, so let's just pretend that you are a new Mario Odyssey speedrunner. You've learned how to do frame-perfect tricks and insane movement options. Now, what would you do if I told you to learn to play with your feet?
Huh?
I'm being 100% serious when I say this. Remember how I said that in 2-player mode you have extra movement options? Well, some speedrunners have gone as far as to learn to play Mario Odyssey with their feet, so that they can control Mario with their hands, while simultaneously controlling Cappy with their feet in 2-player mode. There are so many different skips I could talk about in Mario Odyssey, but one that stands out from the rest in terms of sheer difficulty is DSS, or Dino Skip. You see, before the discovery of DSS, there was a different skip called DS, or Dino Skip. Right now you're watching a speedrun from a few years ago that uses this skip. I'm gonna let it play out a little bit until it reaches DS, and then explain to you how DS was done. Okay, so essentially how DS worked was you would capture the T-Rex fairly close to the start of the level, and then use it to skip all the way up to the boss fight. This was already a major time save, but DSS, as the name suggests, is a skip that is so large that it skips this skip. This is a video of Tyrone, the speedrunner we talked about earlier, performing DSS, and what's insane is that the entire thing relies on 3 pixels of land on the wall.